Maurice Clemons' life was marred by crime from a young age. His journey into the world of crime began almost as soon as he could walk. Born in Arkansas in 1972, his early years were troubled. Growing up in a challenging environment, he was exposed to crime and violence from a tender age. By 17, he had already racked up a string of convictions. His teenage years were marked by frequent run-ins with the law, leading to multiple arrests. These included robbery and theft, revealing a pattern of disregard for the law. His actions were not just petty crimes, they were serious offences that showed a deepening involvement in criminal activities. Clemons' criminal behaviour escalated over time. Each arrest seemed to embolden him, pushing him further into a life of crime. He faced charges for increasingly violent offences. The nature of his crimes grew more severe, indicating a troubling trajectory. In 1999, at the age of 27, Clemons faced a pivotal moment. This was a turning point that would define his future. He was convicted of aggravated robbery and sentenced to 95 years in prison. This lengthy sentence was meant to be a deterrent, a way to keep him off the streets for good. This lengthy sentence seemed to signal an end to his reign of terror. Many believed that this was the end of the road for Clemons. However, fate, it seemed, had other plans. The story of Maurice Clemons was far from over. A decade later, a controversial decision would alter Clemons' destiny and cast a long shadow over the community of Lakewood, Washington. This decision would have far-reaching consequences, affecting many lives. In 2000, Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee commuted Clemons' 95-year sentence. This act of clemency was based on the argument that Clemons was a juvenile offender at the time of his original sentencing. This decision proved to be a controversial one. Many questioned the wisdom of releasing a man with such a violent past back into society. Despite concerns, Clemons was released and eventually made his way to Washington State. He had been given a second chance, a chance to turn his life around and become a productive member of society. Tragically, however, Clemons' criminal inclinations were deeply ingrained. His past would soon catch up with him with devastating consequences. Clemons' time in Washington State was far from reformed. He continued to engage in criminal activity, racking up new charges. These included assault, theft, and illegal firearms possession. Despite his clear disregard for the law, Clemons managed to avoid serious consequences. The system seemed unable or unwilling to hold him accountable for his actions. This failure of the justice system had tragic implications. It allowed Clemons to remain free, setting the stage for the horrific events that would soon unfold. On November 29, 2009, the quiet Sunday morning routine in Lakewood, Washington, was shattered by an act of unspeakable violence. Maurice Clemons, fueled by anger and resentment, walked into a coffee shop. It was a place where police officers often gathered for their morning coffee. Clemons carried with him a deadly purpose. He was armed and prepared to unleash his rage on those he saw as symbols of authority. This day would forever be etched in the annals of Lakewood's history, a grim reminder of the darkness that can erupt even in the most unsuspecting of places. 4 fallen heroes, the victims of the Lakewood shooting. Inside the coffee shop, 4 Lakewood police officers were beginning their day. Sergeant Mark Renninger, Officer Ronald Owens, Officer Tina Griswold, and Officer Greg Richards were all dedicated public servants. They were known for their commitment to protecting and serving their community. On that fateful morning, they became the victims of Clemons' senseless rampage. Shot down in cold blood, their lives were cut tragically short. The loss of these 4 brave officers sent shockwaves through the Lakewood community and beyond. The hunt for Maurice Clemons, a community in fear. The aftermath of the shooting was a scene of chaos and grief. As news of the tragedy spread, a massive manhunt was launched to apprehend Maurice Clemons. Law enforcement agencies from across the region joined forces, determined to bring the cop killer to justice. The community of Lakewood was plunged into a state of fear and uncertainty. Schools were closed, businesses were shuttered, and residents were urged to stay indoors. The manhunt for Clemons became a top priority as the authorities worked tirelessly to track down the fugitive and restore a sense of security to the shaken community. Facing down a killer, the final confrontation. For 2 tense days, the manhunt for Maurice Clemons continued unabated. Finally, on December 1st, a break in the case came from an unexpected source. A Seattle police officer, Benjamin Kelly, was on routine patrol when he noticed a suspicious vehicle. It matched the description of the one Clemons was believed to be driving. Officer Kelly, fully aware of Clemons's violent history, approached the vehicle with caution. As he did so, Clemons sprang a deadly ambush. Section 8. Justice for the Fallen, the aftermath of the manhunt. The events that unfolded during the manhunt left a profound impact on everyone involved. Officer Kelly, fully aware of Clemons's violent past, fought back valiantly. His bravery in the face of danger was a testament to his dedication and courage. Although Officer Kelly was wounded by Clemons, he survived the encounter. His resilience and quick response were crucial in the confrontation. By the time responding officers arrived at the scene, Maurice Clemons was already dead. The swift response of the officers ensured the situation was contained. The manhunt was over, but at a terrible cost. The emotional toll on the officers and their families was immeasurable. The death of Maurice Clemons brought a sense of closure to the tragedy, but it also marked the end of a harrowing chapter for the community. But it did little to ease the pain and grief felt by the families of the victims and the community as a whole. The sorrow was palpable and the healing process would be long and arduous. The Lakewood shooting and its aftermath left an indelible scar on the region, a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and security, a stark reminder of the human capacity for violence. The shattered glass and crime scene markers were silent witnesses to the chaos that had unfolded and the ever-present dangers faced by those who serve and protect. The officers continued their patrols, ever vigilant, knowing that their duty to protect the community was more important than ever. Section 9. Scars on the badge, the lasting impact on law enforcement. The Lakewood shooting had a profound impact on the law enforcement community, both locally and nationally. The loss of 4 officers in a single incident served as a stark reminder of the risks inherent in police work. It also highlighted the need for increased vigilance and awareness in the face of potential danger. The tragedy led to a re-evaluation of training protocols and safety measures for law enforcement officers. It also sparked a national conversation about the importance of supporting and honoring those who put their lives on the line every day to protect their communities. Section 10. Remembering the fallen, honoring their sacrifice. In the wake of the Lakewood shooting, the community came together to mourn the loss of their fallen heroes. Candlelight vigils were held, memorials were erected, and tributes poured in from across the country. The 4 slain officers were remembered for their bravery, their dedication to duty, and their unwavering commitment to serving their community. Maurice Clemons felt that he was the victim. However, his mental health began to fail, leading him to commit the horrific killings. In the end, he deserved every bullet. Their sacrifice served as a reminder of the human cost of violence and the importance of cherishing and supporting those who put their lives on the line every day to keep our communities safe.